found in the ashes. The battlefield was silent now. Smoke drifted in the air, rising in thin trails from broken ships and cracked metal. All around, the ground was scorched, blackened by fire and ruin. It was a place where many had fallen, both human and alien. But one figure still breathed barely. She lay on her back, armor cracked, blood mixing with the dust. Her eyes, though dim, still held fire. She was a warrior from a proud race. In her culture, to die in battle was the highest honor. Surrender was shame. Survival after defeat, worse than death. She reached slowly to the side, where her blade had fallen. Her arm trembled, but she lifted it enough to press the tip against her chest. Her people's way was clear. Fall by your own hand before the enemy can take you. But then came the sound of boots. Not heavy, not rushed. Calm, careful. A figure stepped into view. A human soldier. His uniform was torn, face dirty, but his eyes were sharp. He saw her and didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he raised a hand, open, showing peace. The alien narrowed her eyes. She had been trained to hate these creatures, to see them as monsters, invaders, deceivers. Yet here he was, not gloating, not attacking, just watching. "Don't," the human said gently, nodding toward her blade. She didn't understand his words, but the tone was enough. Calm, kind, soft, even though he was surrounded by the destruction of war. She pressed the blade closer to her chest. The human stepped forward. She growled, a weak sound but full of warning. He stopped, lifted both hands now, showing he meant no harm. "You don't have to do this," he said. Again, the words meant nothing to her, but something inside her paused. His voice, it carried no pride, no triumph, only concern. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt beside her, slowly, reached into a small pouch and took out a round device. He pressed a button, and a soft hum came from it. A translator. She blinked. The voice that came from the small device was strange, but it spoke her language. "You are hurt," it said in her tongue. "Let us help." Her fingers tightened around the blade. "I am defeated," she said, coughing. "Let me go, I will pass with honor." He shook his head. "Honor is not in dying," he said. "It's in surviving, in healing, in choosing peace when war is easy." She stared at him. No one from her side would say such things. In her world, weakness was not forgiven. Mercy was not given. But here was a soldier offering both. "I killed many of your kind," she said, her voice low. "I know," he replied, "but you're still alive. That means you still matter." His hand reached out slowly. She could have struck, could have ended it. But something held her back. Maybe it was the pain. Maybe it was the strange calm in his voice. Maybe it was the fact that he hadn't killed her when he had the chance. His hand rested on hers, gently pushing the blade down. She didn't stop him. Tears welled in her eyes, not from fear, not from pain, but confusion. This was not how the stories were told. This was not how enemies acted. She whispered, "Why?" He looked at her, quiet for a moment, then said, "Because we don't leave anyone behind, not even an enemy." Against the code, the human carried her gently through the ruins. Her body ached, her pride even more. She should have resisted. She should have ended herself when she had the chance. But his words haunted her. "We don't leave anyone behind." Every step he took echoed in her ears, not because of the sound, but because of the shame. She had trained all her life for battle, victory or death, no in between. Yet here she was, breathing, defeated, and being helped by a human. Others moved nearby. More humans, soldiers in dark armor, faces hidden by helmets. When they saw him, carrying her, their hands went to their weapons. She tensed, ready to feel the end. But the man shook his head. "No threat. She's coming with us." The others didn't argue. They lowered their weapons and opened a path toward a waiting shuttle. Its doors hissed open, and inside, the warm light seemed to burn her eyes. It wasn't like the cold steel halls of her people's ships. This place smelled of medicine, heat, and life. He placed her on a small bed. Machines clicked on, scanning her wounds. A woman approached, another human. She had a calm face and steady hands. The warrior growled low, instinct still alive. The man stepped between them. She's scared. Talk slow. The woman nodded and activated her own translator. We're here to help. You're safe now. Safe. That word meant nothing to her. It wasn't part of her training, her code, or her culture. She had never been safe. She had only been strong. Still, she didn't fight when the medics worked. Pain faded slowly as the machines cleaned and sealed her wounds. Her breathing eased, but her mind stayed loud. She closed her eyes and whispered in her own tongue. What will they say of me now? The man, sitting close, replied, That you lived. She opened her eyes. That is not honor. He looked at her for a long time. Then maybe your people need new stories. She had no answer. He wasn't wrong, but he wasn't right either. She had spent years building her name in battle. She had fought hard, bled harder, and never begged. Yet in one moment, a human had taken that story from her, or had given her a new one. The ship lifted off, leaving behind the shattered battlefield. Through the small window, she saw the black smoke rising from her side's broken lines. No one would come for her now. To them, she was already gone. The human man, still unnamed, stood and walked to the side of the room, checking a panel. He spoke quietly to another soldier on a screen. She couldn't hear the words, but she watched him. Calm, purposeful, different. No medals on his chest, no proud symbols. Yet he had won a fight not with weapons, but with mercy. That alone made her feel more unsettled than any blade ever had. She whispered, You should have let me die. He turned and looked her in the eye. Maybe, but we're not like you, and maybe that's why we're still here. The silence between them stretched, heavy and full of questions. She didn't speak again, not for the rest of the trip, but she also didn't pick up the blade lying beside her. The room with no chains. The room was quiet, too quiet. No guards, no chains, no cameras she could see. Just a small bed, a light above, and a smooth table in the center. A tray of food had been left on it, simple human rations. Warm. She sat on the edge of the bed, eyes locked on the door. It wasn't locked. She had tested it. It opened with a soft click. She could walk out any time. But where would she go? The ship hummed gently. She knew they were far from the war zone now. The stars outside the window moved in long, silent trails. That meant they were in jump space. Deep travel. She was far from her kind and still alive. She looked down at her arms. The bandages were clean. The bleeding had stopped. Her body would recover. Her soul. She wasn't so sure. Then came the sound of footsteps. She tensed. Her muscles were sore, but her instinct remained. She would fight if needed. She would not beg. The door slid open. It was him again. The human who had saved her. He stepped inside with a small device in hand. The same translator as before. You're healing. Fast, he said, voice calm. She nodded, saying nothing. He walked over and placed the device on the table. Then slowly he sat across from her. You're not a prisoner, he said. You're here because we want you to live. She tilted her head. Why? I killed your people. I know. Then you should hate me. I don't. She narrowed, her eyes. Then you're a fool. Maybe, he said with a shrug. Or maybe I see something different. Silence again. She didn't know how to answer that. In her world, wounds were punished, weakness removed, kindness seen as a trap. But this man offered it freely. She stared at him. I was ready to die. I know, he replied. But you didn't. I failed. No, he said firmly. You lived. There's a difference. That made her pause. The words sat heavy in her mind. He stood. "You're free to walk around the ship. The others know not to harm you, but stay close. We're still at war out there." She watched him head for the door. Just before he left, he turned back. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked away. "Names are earned in my people's eyes. I no longer deserve mine." He didn't argue. He only nodded once. "Then earn a new one." And with that, he was gone. She sat there silent, the words circling in her mind like a storm. Earn a new one, not as a warrior, not with death, but with life. Echoes of the past. The ship moved quietly through space, but her thoughts were louder than ever. Each day she explored more of the vessel. The humans did not stop her. They watched, yes, but from a distance. Some nodded when she passed. A few smiled. No one raised a weapon. No one mocked her. That more than anything confused her. She had expected hatred. She had expected fear. She had brought death to them. Yet here she was met with respect, even care. The halls were clean, simple. Human art hung on some walls, paintings of nature, oceans, forests, stars. Beauty. Peace. She couldn't understand why warriors would paint such things. Her people decorated their warships with scars, victories, weapons. But these humans seemed to fight hard and dream harder. In the corner of the training hall, she watched them spar. Two humans, quick and sharp, exchanged blows with wooden staffs. It wasn't just brute force. They used technique, timing, patience. She found herself stepping closer. One of the fighters noticed her. He paused, wiped sweat from his brow, and motioned toward a spare staff. She hesitated, but her hands moved before her mind did. She took the staff. At first it was only movement, habit, form. But when their weapons clashed, something returned. Not rage, not honor, focus. Her legs remembered. Her body responded. The two circled, moved, struck. Others began watching, quiet, but interested. She landed a clean blow to the man's side. He stumbled, then laughed. "You're good," he said. She didn't smile, but she nodded. Just once. The session ended and the humans clapped lightly, not in mockery, but in respect. She placed the staff down and turned to leave, but the man who had sparred with her called out, "You got a name?" She paused. "I'm working on one." That night she sat in her room and stared at the ceiling. Her muscles ached from the sparring, but it felt good. Not because she won, not because she proved herself, because for the first time since the battle she had felt alive. She tapped the edge of the bed slowly. Her mind drifted to her people. If they saw her now, they would spit on her name, call her broken, call her lost. But were they right? Had her code truly brought strength? Or just chains? The door chimed. She stood quickly. "Enter." It was him, the same human, the one who saved her. He smiled. "They said you nearly knocked Mark flat during training. Impressive." She said, "Nothing." He stepped inside, holding a small device. "Thought you might want to see something." He placed the device on the table. A hologram blinked to life. It showed a field, long ago. Bodies, smoke, wreckage, and in the middle a younger version of him, kneeling beside a wounded enemy. "She was from a different species," he said. "We were ordered to leave her. But I couldn't." The image shifted. It showed the same alien later wearing a medic badge standing beside human doctors. "She works with us now. Saved dozens of lives last year." He looked at her. "You think your story is over, but it's not. It's just a different path." She stared at the image. "Do you trust all your enemies this way?" she asked softly. He shrugged. "No, just the ones worth saving." She didn't reply, but in her chest something shifted. Not weakness, not shame. A seed of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The message that burned. The days passed, but she still hadn't chosen a name. She walked the halls like a ghost. Not a prisoner, not a guest, something in between. The humans didn't ask much from her, they didn't force anything, yet their kindness felt heavier than chains. She watched. She listened. Every part of their ship, from the engines to the mess hall, ran with teamwork. Not fear, not obedience. Trust. Her people had ruled with rank and command, orders shouted, punishment swift. But here, even the lowest soldier spoke freely with the captain. It felt strange. One morning, a soft alarm echoed through the ship. Yellow lights blinked. No one panicked, just quiet urgency. She followed the sound, arriving in the command deck. A young human officer noticed her and nodded. Incoming transmission. The screen lit up. The message was not human, it was her people. The voice was sharp, cold, familiar. This is Commander Lek of the Karan forces. We have tracked the escape of a traitor. Designation unknown. Return her at once. If she is alive, you have violated the laws of war. If she is dead, confirm her end. You have 3 cycles to comply. The screen blinked off. Silence. She stood frozen. They called her a traitor, not a prisoner, not a warrior. A shame, a disgrace. The humans didn't look at her with hate, not even with pity, just concern. The man, her rescuer, turned slowly. You don't have to go back, he said. She looked at the floor. They believe I'm weak. They're wrong. She clenched her fists. They'll attack. For me. Then, we'll be ready. Her head shot up. You'd fight for me? He nodded. We don't leave people behind. Tears stung her eyes, though she tried to hide them. You don't understand, she said. If they come, they won't stop. They'll burn this ship just to erase me. And we'll stop them, he said. She shook her head. You're risking too much. He stepped closer. So are you. She sat down slowly, her legs weak. What? Am I now? She whispered. He crouched in front of her. You're a survivor, and maybe more. The lights dimmed back to normal. The room returned to quiet. But the war had not ended. It was just coming closer, and this time she wasn't sure which side she belonged to. A warrior reborn, the ship prepared for battle. Everyone moved with quiet purpose. Weapons were checked. Shields reinforced, patrols doubled. The humans didn't shout orders. They moved like one body, steady, focused. She watched them from the side, feeling out of place, but not useless. Not anymore. She walked into the armory. The door hissed open, and the crew inside froze. One soldier reached for his sidearm, but another waved him off. She's with us. She stepped to the wall of gear, rows of weapons, armor, scanners. None were made for her kind, but the shapes were familiar. A warrior always knew how to adapt. Then a voice came from behind. You planning to fight? It was him again, the human who had saved her. His eyes weren't judging, just asking. I was trained for war, she said quietly, and for dying, in it, he added. She looked down. I don't want to die. Not like that. Not anymore. Good, he said. Because we don't want you to. She picked up a lightweight vest, pulling it over her tunic. It didn't fit perfectly, but it would serve. She checked the grip of a plasma rifle. Slightly awkward in her hands, but manageable. I don't know what I'm fighting for yet, she said. Then fight to protect what you're becoming, he replied. The alien fleet arrived hours later. Dark ships filled the screen, sharp like knives bristling with weapons. Their message was short. Return the traitor. Now. The human captain answered without delay. She's not yours anymore. Within seconds, the enemy opened fire. The first hit slammed the human vessel hard. Lights flickered. Hulls groaned. But the ship held. She stood on the bridge now, rifle in hand, heart steady. Give me a post, she said. The captain raised an eyebrow. You sure? She nodded. I was a soldier before. Let me be something more now. They assigned her to Defense, External Corridor 3. If the enemy boarded, it would be one of the first points hit. She took her place in silence. When the alarms blared again, she didn't flinch. The airlock hissed. The enemy came. Shadows of her past. Warriors with eyes full of judgment and blades raised high. They saw her and hesitated. You shame us, one growled. No, she said. I broke the chain. They charged. She didn't run. She fought. Not with rage, not for pride, but for the humans who gave her a chance. She moved faster than they expected, cleaner, sharper. Her weapon sang with energy. She blocked. She struck. She defended the hallway like it was her home. By the time backup arrived, the corridor was quiet again, and she was still standing. After the fight, she walked back to the med bay, leaving a trail of scorch marks and silence. Behind her, he met her at the entrance. You're hurt. A scratch. You saved the ship. She looked at him. No, I saved myself. A new name. The battle was over. The enemy ships had fled. Not destroyed, just broken, surprised by the resistance they didn't expect. They had come for a symbol of shame, only to find a warrior standing tall, defending those she once called enemies. Repairs were underway. The crew moved with tired smiles and quiet words. There was loss, yes, but also something else. Victory. She stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Her wounds were healing. Her strength had returned. But more than that, something inside her had changed. She no longer felt hollow. The door behind her opened. She didn't turn, but she knew the footsteps. You didn't run, he said. I had nowhere to run. You had everywhere to run, he replied. You just chose to stand instead. She was quiet for a long moment. I've thought of a name, she said. He smiled. Yeah? I was once called something I no longer deserve. That name belonged to a blade. Cold, obedient, empty. She turned to face him. I want to earn a new name, one that belongs to someone who chose life. He nodded slowly. Do you have it? She looked at the stars again. Hope. He blinked, then smiled wider. It fits. They stood in silence together, looking out at the wide galaxy. Far beyond them, war still raged. Old codes still ruled. Others would still call her traitor. But she no longer cared. She had found a new path. Forged not from blood, but from choice, from compassion, from hands that reached down, not to end her, but to pull her back up. And now she walked forward, not for honor, not for war, but for something greater, hope.